Yo, what's good, y'all? You Dell back again, here to do another video in the plot series. Now, I dropped my initial The Arts plot video, and I said I would do a lot of genres. And I definitely wanted to do the adventure genre first, and a comment even said that, yo, they're like, Wonder, Dub, you got to do this video. And I'm like, I, since you asked. Um, when you look at literature, all right, you learn it in middle school, high school, college, right? Early English classes. What they'll tell you is that in drama, in theater, you have a certain plot structure. And in fiction, you have a plot structure. Now, very simple. There's from the exposition, then you get into how does it go? I think the rising action is either second or third, then there's the climax, the falling action, then there's the ending. I think that's like the basic plot structure. But when you start to read and watch as much fiction as I have, I've told people I've read and watched so much fiction I forgot most of it. You start to see that each genre has its own specific way of doing things. And you can know what one genre is from another. It's the elements that they introduce, but a lot of it has to do with the plot structure. And a lot of people, you can have sci-fi or fantastic elements, fantasy elements in, let's say, an adventure series, but that doesn't make it sci-fi or fantasy. You can cross-reference a lot of elements, but that doesn't make it that element. And that confuses a lot of people who are unaware and unlearned and who are not knowledgeable and experienced in a lot of these genres, especially some of these specific genres like the adventure genre or a steampunk, for example, or genres that they're unfamiliar with altogether. They've never experienced before. And they're like, oh, some of them were shocked. Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. But that also can be a bad thing because they'll be like, I want things done this way. But that's not the type of genre you're in. You have to understand it. You have to understand the purpose when two things when it comes to writing that the audience, that the writer has to understand, or the reader needs to understand, the viewer needs to understand. What is the author's purpose and who is the author's audience? If you don't understand those two things, you're going to be lost and you're going to get screwed over. Sometimes that actually keeps me away from series. Or helps me like, okay, I'm not expecting too much out of this series. And it helps me enjoy the series as opposed to like, why didn't you do this, this, and this? You can have critiques, but that should not stop the appreciation of the series. Now, when it comes to adventure genre, there are 6 parts to the plot. I'll keep this as simple as streamlined as possible. All right. First of all, what is the adventure genre? The adventure genre is a type of genre where there is very simple. All right. You have an element of adventure that was seeming self-explanatory, but no, you have an element of endeavoring off into a world, exploring a world, facing the challenges of the world. You have the element of character growth because of those challenges. The character's not the same as before. You could say, well, isn't that like Bildungsroman, a coming of age? There are a lot of coming of age stories that utilize the adventure genre because it's an easy way. It's forced conflict in a good way. It's conflict whether on a deserted island or traveling on the seas or whatnot. It's the sense of you're not getting stuck in, let's say, a city. You can have adventures, but it's a lot more limited. It's exploratory. It's, learning the world in what you in, or the universe. A lot of sci-fi go the route potentially of adventure genre. And so it's an immersionary process. And it immerses the reader as well. It allows for phenomenal world building. It allows for storytelling that you normally would not get, for example, even in fantasy or sci-fi, where there's a lot more technical or superhuman, supernatural, magical elements to it. All right. So with that out the way, you got series like One Piece. You got Tomb Raider with Laura Croft, Swiss Family Robinson, Gulliver's Travels. You could probably think of a number of other adventure series. Dragon Ball is not one of them. Believe it or not, even though Dragon Ball had some of those elements early on, it is not an adventure. I would actually put it in the fantasy, but I'll deal with that when either in a separate video or when I deal with the fantasy genre. But as far as the plot structure of these adventure series, right, these adventure stories, you have 6 elements. You have number 1, character introductions. Now you would think that's the exposition. Not entirely. The exposition would be, for example, if let's say a lot of them may do a flashback, like One Piece has a flashback where the first chapter, 4th episode of Why Luffy. But that's not the main plot of the story. The main plot starts when, his time when he meets Kobe and such. In the Tomb Raider movie that just came out, the past few months, right? We see Lara Croft. We see the exposition is her with the whole bike scene and her whatnot. But we get the real character introduction when she starts, learning about her dad's secret life, what he was really about. You understand what I'm saying? Gulliver's Travels. He started off in Britain, but we get the real character introduction when he starts traveling off to Lilliput. Now he has 4 adventures, but it's the same thing when he travels off again to the land of the giants, when he travels off again to the land in the sky, and when he travels off again to the land with the talking horses and such. So there you go. You got character introduction, what the character is really about, where the character starts. Then you get them thrown, you can say the trial period, where they're thrown and immersed into a possibly hostile challenge, a new land, something they've got to adjust to. You can say the Netflix series with Marco Polo follows this, where he's now gone with the Silk Road with his father, and he's now in the court of Kublai Khan, okay? And you go from there. Then you have the journey, if you will, the journey of the character. Sometimes it's mainly an internal struggle. With Robinson Crusoe, it was mainly an internal struggle because he was by himself. Okay. Swiss Family Robinson, sometimes it's more of an external struggle where the family's fighting to survive. All right. And you have that journey. And then as the characters grow along with all their challenges, Seven Seeds, it's my probably still second favorite manga of all time. Absolutely love that. And I mean, it's one of the most complicated stories, to even get into, but still, in a good way complicated, not convoluted, not confound. It's just got a lot going on. So it embraces the challenges and it embraces and infuses a lot of different characters. So there's a lot with the adventure genre. It's just wide, is seemingly small of a niche at times. It can be, it's a wide range to do with it because you can throw characters into all kinds of situations, post-apocalyptic situations, deserted island situations, in modern situations, in historic situations, like all kinds of things. And when you have such a wide array of settings and such, it makes it very Plato-like. Very malleable, right? We got the character introduction. We got the test period. We got the test/trial period. We got the journey of the characters. 4th point is the climax of the story, if you will. The climax, the climax will actually be a couple later, excuse me. After the journey period, it'll be, a lot of times they will meet, a help. In the case of Friday, with Robinson Crusoe, they met Friday. Okay. Robinson Crusoe finally got a friend, someone he ain't another human. Then you have, a lot of times they'll get an aid or something that will aid them along the way. So it'll be an aiding situation. One Piece does this all the time. All the time. If you know the series, it does it all the time. Lara Croft and with the Tomb Raider movie, she got aid from, now it started pretty early in the movie, but she got aid from her homie, whose father ended up being killed in that movie. Yeah, it's mild spoilers, but whatever. The movie's been out for a while. So there will generally be an aid. Some series may skip over this, but generally be an aid. Then you could say the conflict, whatever the major thing is. Robinson Crusoe, it's, when I believe, was it pirates? Or was it Portuguese? It's been a while since I read it, but there was a major conflict that arose. In Tomb Raider, you know it with the villain, if you will, and that whole situation. Let's see, what are some of the other series? One Piece, every arc does it. There's a villain and antagonist, and they must overcome him or her. So there's that. And let's see, after the conflict, I'm talking about the main conflict, there is the resolution of the character. All right. Just as you had a character introduction, there's a resolution of the character. It's not the necessarily ending of it. It's like the pre-ending, if you will. It's the winding down of the character, how the character has grown, how much the character has evolved over time, the reflections and whatever. Then you have come to the ending. And that's my perspective of the adventure genre, as best as I've come to see different things over time and how it differentiates between other genres. Let me know what y'all would like to see next. And until next time, y'all have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace.